This video is going to be just slightly different from all my videos I do. And I got a sponsored project here and I want to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to install a dash cam in the Bel Air. I was thinking of putting one in the truck, but I had to get more use out of it in the Bel Air. And the reason why I wanted a dash cam in the Bel Air is two reasons. And for you guys to get better video and people drive better around me. So I put a GoPro in there, and that's kind of a pain. You got to push the power on, off, and record, start, stop, make sure the battery doesn't go dead, and you know, it's just a bit of fuss. And I put the camera on my motorcycle helmet because one significant thing I notice with having cameras in both the car and when I ride the bike, people's driving habits change dramatically. They're not as aggressive. They're a little more courteous. If they're on video, they're not going to want to be all over social media with their, you know, rudeness, I guess, so to speak. So anyway, this company sent me, it's a VIOFO A229 dual camera Wi-Fi dash cam, and it has a front and rear camera. They sent me the accessory cables because I explained to them that this comes with everything. So you can just buy this and run everything, you know, hook it up to your car. It comes with a cigarette lighter adapter and everything. And you can put it in, and like on the truck, you can run your wiring up, you know, around the, you can pull your weather strip down here and run your wiring up in underneath all the headliner and stuff. And the Bel Air, it's a little different running the wiring, because this has like cat whiskers and there's no real way of running the wiring. I guess I could in here, but really it needs to go down through the wire channels under the sill plates here. There's channels on both sides of the car designed into the car just for the wiring. So I'm going to mount a rear camera. I'm going to mount a front camera, maybe about where the GoPro is, somewhere around in there. Maybe behind the rear view mirror a little bit, but so I can still see the screen when I'm sitting here driving. And so anyway, that's kind of what this video is going to be on. So I'm going to unpackage it and show it to you, and I'll put a link in the description on where you can get them. And I'll leave a link in the, actually I'll just show it on the video where so you can go online and read the owner's manual. This thing has a surprising amount of functions with it. It's pretty nice setup here. So these are some of the accessories. This is the longer cable, so I can run it to the, you know, under in the wire channel on the Bel Air. This is a hardwire kit. I did not want to have to plug this into the cigarette lighter every time I want to use it. So when you have two power sources with this, you have key on power only and key off, or power all the time. I should say constant power, whether the key is on or off, and power when the key is on only. And I'll show you where we're going to wire that up. The Bel Air does have extra spades in the circuit panel for accessories. They sent me their 128 megabyte, actually 64 megabyte memory card, the polarizing lens for the camera, and if you wear Polaroid sunglasses, you'll know why I requested the polarizing filter lens, and a Bluetooth control to save your files on the camera, so I don't, you know, so it doesn't re-record. So basically what this is the camera itself, the dash cam, that's the camera lens. But basically this will record over video files once the memory card's full. Just start recording over it again. But if you don't want it to record over certain files, you can push this button, or I believe one of the buttons on here. We'll go over that in the user's manual when we get it installed. the user manual is available online. Hopefully, I'll type that out in the description. You can copy and paste it into your browser if you wish to read the owner's manual. I would recommend it. It's pretty interesting. I did take it out and read it already, and you know, it kind of gives you all how to work it. It even gives you so you can get an app on your phone, and there's a little thing in here you can scan for your. Let me find it. I'll show it to you. So they have one from Google Play and one from the Apple Store. You can just scan it, and then you have an app on your phone that you can operate the camera with your phone when the Wi-Fi is turned on to this. With this, yes, this has Wi-Fi as it says on the box there. And it comes with these static things to put on the glass. I don't know if I'll put these on. We might try it without. We'll wait and see. But this is what the kit comes with. That is the rear camera. Let me get it out of the... So it's not, you know, this ginormous thing like the GoPro, but it'll be visible out the rear window to where other motorists will see it, and they'll realize I need to drive a little more careful so I'm not embarrassed on the internet from their poor driving. This is an adapter, I believe, to go from USB to the microchip, maybe to download computer files. This is a USB to micro USB adapter cable. This is the camera, this camera cable that comes with it, and that's probably plenty long, you know, like if you're running it up above. And this is a tool to feed the wire up above. This is the cigarette lighter adapter and the power cable if you just want to plug it into your 12-volt outlet. Like I say, I'm going to hardwire this. So you can get this stuff. You can go on Amazon, or I'll leave, like I say, I'll leave links in the description on this camera, but you can buy all this stuff. Additionally, it's surprisingly not that much more money. I would recommend getting the accessories for what little extra it adds to the cost. It's just, will make your install, you know, that much more professional, to where you don't have to horse with things, plugging things in, you know. I mean, this is fine, you know, but I don't want a cable draping down in the classic car with the thing ashtray open and this plugged into the cigarette lighter. So that's why we're going to use this. One thing that came in this setup is this little card here, and it says, to prevent manufacturing errors, please test all the cameras and accessories before installing. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to plug everything in here. I'm going to use that cable and the cigarette lighter, and we'll plug it into the truck and make sure everything works. And if it all does, then we're going to start installing it in the Bel Air. And like I say, you guys will enjoy it here. You'll have rear views of the cruisers behind me. You'll have front views of the cruisers ahead of me. You have views from the camera I'm using now. You're going to enjoy this video camera as much as I am. And I think it'll make people drive a little better around me too, because I do notice that when I put cameras in the windows, driving habits of others do change. So let's get this set up to where I can check it out here. It looks like a pretty simple, that goes to the rear camera, that goes to the rear camera, so we'll get everything plugged in and going here. Oh, and another thing, sorry, it's cold out, so you're going to hear, I've turned the furnace on for the first time this year, so you're going to hear the furnace kick on. That's what you just heard, was it ventilating the burner chamber. So be prepared to hear the furnace occasionally. This was out of the box. This is the plug adapter, USB, and that is basically what it is, 5-volt USB. This is the power wire. This will easily reach, I think, from the dash of the truck out to here. So we're gonna try it right here. So let me get this plugged into the truck and the wire run out here, and we'll power it up and see how it goes. That's all plugged in. I think there's a little light or something on that comes on that shows it's plugged into the jack all the way. I didn't have it plugged into the jack all the way, and this didn't come on. So it did come on when I plugged it in all the way, but I didn't have my camera recording. So now I have it recording. I'm going to plug the power in.
Recording. 2 channels started.
There we go. And it has picture-in-picture for this camera right here, as you can see. And you can swap those picture-in-pictures. Looks like it works pretty darn good. It's still got that film, you know, that plastic film on the lens. I'll wait and take that off when I'm done installing it. I don't want to, you know, scratch the screen. See this like plastic layer. Once that comes off, and it's on the camera lenses, both camera lenses have it on. So surprisingly, I'm flabbergasted at how good the picture is with those pull films on the lenses and on the screen. So yeah, I'm impressed with it. It's 1440p 30 plus 1440p 30. So that's what each of these cameras, these actually have higher resolution than the GoPro. So there we go. And yeah, the screen does turn off automatically after a few minutes, which will be kind of nice, and I can stop it from recording by pushing this button, I believe. See how it's not red up there now, and then this is blinking.
Recording. 2 channels started.
And that turns the Wi-Fi, and you have a mic, so it's recording what we're talking.
Voice recording disabled.
And you can turn it off, which I'll probably leave
Voice
that
recording
on.
enabled.
So if when I'm cruising, I'm talking, you can hear what I'm saying. Or if the radio's playing, we'll get some copyright infringements because the radio will be speaker will be right below where this is mounted. And you can see me talking, obviously, in the rear camera there. There we go. So, all right, let's get this thing installed. I'm looking forward to this. I've been wanting a dash cam in the Bel Air. Actually, I'd like one in the truck too, but maybe in the future. Just because, you know, I can get better video for you guys, and because people drive a little more respectful when they see the cameras. They don't want to be caught on camera being foolish. First thing I'm going to do to install this camera in the car is I just took the wiring that the camera comes with in the box. It comes with this, you know, wire for the camera, and they sent me the optional longer one because I'm going to run it down. I'm going to have to unscrew this trim, and I'll probably run it down this part here into the behind this panel, and I may have to just pull the bottom part of the back seat out to get it underneath everything in the carpet, and then I'll pull these sill plates off, and then that wire channel is screwed underneath there's a panel over it, and then I can run the wiring up to the front. And I just laid out, like I say, the cable kit comes with, and I can run it up behind the kick panel there and up in this trim, the dog leg up here and across the windshield. And it looks like I'll have plenty of wire with wire to spare. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the camera wire first, mount the cameras, and then I'll hook up the power supply. And I'm kind of thinking that in this area where I mount the GoPro so that the lens is pointing below the tinting on the windshield, but I don't think that tinting will make a big difference in because I've had it up here to where it's been through the tinting, and it really doesn't make a lot of difference. But yeah, you got to put it, you know, it's hanging upside down, so you got to make sure the upside down mode's off. You got to make sure, you know, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons on the thing, so you got to make sure you push the right ones. I think this one turns it on. Yep. And the screen always shows one way, so when it's like that recording, it's actually recording right way up, even though the screen's showing it upside down. And then this starts and stops the record. That turns on and off the Bluetooth, and then this turns the screen off, which I do when I'm recording. See, I can turn the screen off, which I do when I'm recording with this driving in the car, because the screen uses a lot of battery. And then you can't monitor the battery, and then the battery goes dead and you guys lose video. So that's, you know, the advantage of having this VIOFO dash cam mounted up there. It'll be powered from the car, so I don't have to horse with batteries or be pushing buttons or worried I pushed the wrong button. When I turn the key to start the car, that unit's going to come on, and when I turn the key to shut the car off, that unit's going to turn off. And with the power cable that I got, the optional power cable, I'm going to hook it up so that it has this feature called the parking feature. So if somebody, you can set it to take photos every so often, or it has a bunch of settings on the parking photo. You need to read the directions to understand it. So look at that link, copy that link, and paste it in your browser. I'll type out for the directions on the camera, and that will allow you to see all the parking features. So I can set it to where if somebody bumps the car, it starts recording, or if the car is moved, it has motion sensing, or if somebody just walks in front of the car or by the car, that'll trigger it too. So, you know, you can change the settings on that to how it will record in the parking mode. So, you know, when I'm in the garage here, I'll just turn that feature completely off. But when I'm out and about with the car and I go to cruises and stuff and I'm not around the car, it's interesting. You know, I always thought, you know, I left the GoPro on once accidentally at a cruise, and it was interesting to watch the people that were checking the car out. So this way I'll have front and rear view cameras, because surprisingly, if the hood's closed, you get more people viewing the back of this car than the front, because that's where the styling's the wildest. And if the hood's open, they're all checking the engine out. If it wasn't for the 348 decals on the engine, a lot of people, before I put them on, they're incorrect. These engines didn't have decals on the valve covers at all. I put them on there because everyone thought it was a 409. The 409 engine looks identical, so I have to tell them, no, it's a 348, so I just put the 348 decals on the valve covers. All right, let me get this wiring in and get this thing mounted up here. Before I started running any wiring or anything, I just wanted to see how I wanted that wire. And I think I'll put this camera kind of like right there, so you really won't see it in the car too much, and the wire can come around this way and plug in, as opposed to looping around that way. I think it'll just look neater. So I'm going to leave that wire there, the camera there. I'm going to get this off. And I just, again, I did the front camera just to see where I kind of get an idea of where I want to mount it. And I'm kind of thinking maybe there. I'm going to sit in the driver's seat and play around, because I can actually clear the rear view mirror there too. So might be less in my vision over here, but we'll figure out exactly where I want it. And I'm not going to take this trim off. I'm just going to loosen it up. This trim I'll take off, but this trim I don't need to take off. I can just loosen it to feed the wires up in through there. But you know, if I mount it down there, that's, you know, I could mount it right there too. That's another, but then I'm not going to be able to see the screen driving the car. So that's why I'm kind of thinking of mounting it there. And like I say, I've videoed through that with the other camera. It looks dark in here, but when you get it outside and in the daylight, it actually, in the daytime, the video with the GoPro came out better in that shaded area than in the less shaded area. The glass in this car is all tinted, but I think that it'll be fine. Well, before I stick this to the windshield, I'll power it up and I'll hold it up here and I'll hold it down there, and we'll make that decision then. I pulled this trim off. There's just 3 screws on that. You can see the 3 screw holes and 2 on this. And I ran it in the rubber. This is the actual glass gasket, this rubber here, to where it comes out here, and I'm looping it around like that before it goes up here and down into this. And this way, if I need to move this one way or the other, I have room. I can either make the loop larger or smaller. Gives me some play if I need some without having to rip up wiring all the way to the front. So that's why I'm leaving a little loop there. So let me put these pieces of trim back on. Actually, maybe I'll just rough run the cable all the way and then I'll put it up. And then these, let me see if I have my flashlight. Hang on a second. On these old cars, see that little nail there? That's what holds these panels to the body. And I just use this to pop them out. And then when I'm done, you just hit them and that pushes them back in. But I'm going to, like I say, I think I'm going to pull the sill plates and run the wiring all the way before I button anything up, in case if I have to use that longer optional cable they sent me. I don't want to put this in and find it's an inch too short and then have to take everything apart again. So I'll just leave it apart, but you can kind of see, give you a look in the, this is the nuts that hold the exterior trim on. So when you got to change the glass in these cars, yeah, you have to take the interior trim off to get the exterior trim off to change the glass. And if these aren't sealed, water will leak in the car, so you got to make sure those are sealed too. These are all hold these quarter windows in. There's one here and one here, and I don't think there's one here. There might be, but I know there's one there and there's one right there. And so you loosen those up. The quarter window will tilt in and lift right out. So if you got a broken one of these, are 10-minute change. They're no big deal at all. 3 screws held the sill plate on, so that's off. And this is the, you can see where this panel's, I got these panels new old stock somewhere, but this one's rusted out. But you can see where the wire will run in that channel wire. So you get to see a little bit of the nitty-gritty on this car, don't you? Yeah, I haven't shown anything really apart on this car. I can't get that screwdriver in that screw head, so I'm going to get a screwdriver tip and tap a hammer to get the paint out so we can get that off. And I got to get the front sill plate, because this panel is one long panel, goes full length up to the front. It's not 2 pieces. You can see kind of where it continues on underneath. Oh no, it ends right there, so it is 2 panels. Okay, this one ends there and then the other one picks up. So let me get that panel out. We'll put the wire in and then we'll move forward. Yeah, I see why I picked up those covers for the wire channel a long time ago. I actually found them at a swap meet. They're still new in the package, and I guess if the car, if you had a collision, you might need them. But yeah, it's something you wouldn't expect to see sold for parts, but I think it was rusted out, so I just never put it back in. So I'll have to dig them out and install them. But anyway, we can put the wire in there. That's no big deal. And this cat whisker is just setting in there, so we can just lift it out and run it right underneath that and up behind the kick panel and up. I don't think this will take, I've been working on this for maybe 5 minutes. It's been pretty easy going so far. I've spent more time horsing with the screw than what I've done working on the whole car so far. So there was junk in the, couldn't get a screwdriver to bite into it, so I took my little pick here and tried to pick all the stuff out of the screw head. I think I was too impatient when I was a kid. I've owned this car 44 years, and when I first got it, I was probably too impatient. So this has probably never been out since the car was built. And then I took my screwdriver tip with my ratcheting thing, and I tapped it in with the hammer. I can't do everything here. Hang on. You may get jarred all over, but I take this and kind of try and tap it in and free it up and get it to bite in a little better. And then I take my, and it's, so far I haven't had any luck with it. Okay, it's turning a little bit. All right, it's coming out surprisingly. Yeah, and I don't think I've ever taken this screw out since the car was new. So, all right, we can get the wire channel kind of up enough now to get the, I think there might be more screws up in here. Let me look. Hang on, I can't hold the camera in there and look at the same time, so you're just going to have to. There's a screw up in here that I can't get to unless I take this panel off, so I'm just feeding it through with some coat hanger. I just taped it to the end of the plug to the coat hanger. I can push this under that little bit there and pull it through with the coat hanger here. And that's all open, so I don't have to worry about getting the wire channel off on this side. Well, because I know that wire channel is going to be full of dirt, I put the vacuum kind of sucking at the end of it, and I put the air hose in this end, and then I'm going to blow it out because, you know, I've never had that off, and I'm sure when I take it apart this is full of dirt. So here we go. That way I'm not dragging my wiring through dirt and stuff. So hopefully that, I'll have to vacuum the car out when I'm done, but hopefully that got, oh, there's still some stuff there. So. Oh, it's a bit of old wind lace. This is this stuff right here, probably the original, factory original stuff. All right, let me give that another blowout in case this was plugging the exit. I just kind of set that there, put the hammer there to kind of hold it in place, and then that way the vacuum can pick up stuff that blows out the end. Alright, that ought to get that wire channel cleaned out. Now that the wire channel is clear, that should pull right through. I'm going to kind of shove it into the wire channel with this. It's hard to show you guys with the carpet falling down in front of it. Alright, that's in front of the, or down in the wire channel. I'm going to put something there so that it doesn't pull up on that sharp metal or anything, the cable, so you know it hits, if it hits that instead of that. So yeah, those need to be changed. Maybe that's something in the future. If I end up having the seats out and do the interior, I'll put the ones that I have on, which means, you know, you got to pull the carpet up a bit to do it. All right, let me see if we can get this. There we go. Easy enough to do. Let's see what's left back here. I want to leave a little extra just for good measures. It looks like it's all just popped out of the wire channel there a little bit. There we go, pop back in. And I'm not going to take the seat out. That's that's good enough there. I'll put that screw back in there before I put the sill plate back on. And you can see I got that little extra still right here. Just so, you know, if I want to move the camera somewhere different on the glass. I'm going to put it center so the lens is centered with that. I'll probably have to, I don't know, I'll measure it and put some tape on the glass where I want the center of the lens. And I'll do the same with the windshield. So anyway, we got a, this will be no big deal around here because there's no, you can just pull this up and right under that. So the wiring will be all in the proper channel for wiring on these older rides. All right, let me get the front panel off. Let me detape this. I leave a little extra tape folded over here so you can untape it without having to cut your tape. That's important to do that so you don't damage the plug connector. You know, if you don't want to sit there with a knife and cut on it, so that's why I kind of just folded the last little smidge over on it so I can grab it. Whoops. It's tape stuck to itself there. All right, I'll pull that apart and we'll get this run the rest of the way. So I basically just took the screws that hold that to the vent. I think one of the little clips that holds the bottom screw fell off there, so I'll find that. They're just like little steel pal things. But anyway, this is, let me get a light so I can show it. I misplaced my other light, but you can kind of see. This is running up there and in there, and I'll run it up. I'll take that stuff off and run it there. There's the bottom of the antenna. I think that's the bottom of the antenna. Show up in there. Anyway, let's get this wiring run. I'll get this trim off and we'll get it run. Here's the inside of the vent of this car. That's all original. It's never had anything done in there. No repaints, nothing. It says the car was manufactured. Once the screws are out, yeah, the trim, there's 2, 3, 4 screws on this trim. 1, 2, 3 on this trim. You can see how easy this stuff comes apart once it's off the car. I think I might run this up behind. That's kind of where the dashboard bolts into the car right there. And I think I might run the wiring up behind that instead of in front of it so it doesn't get pinched in here anywhere. And then we'll work on getting it up and across. You can kind of see how I ran the wire up, and you know, it comes up through the floor up into there, and then I'm going to run it. So I got to loosen up that molding now. I ended up taking that molding totally off because it has these in it, and I don't want to pinch the wiring. That's just so it doesn't tighten up too tight against things in there. And so I can run the wire right to where I want it now, which is going to be about, I'm going to leave a little extra down in here so, you know, I can move it around as I need it. Any of the excess I'll leave in this opening here. So I'm going to kind of run that wire up to where I want it, kind of hold the camera so I get an idea where I want the wire, and then we're going to put that top trim back on. Then I'll button everything up on this side except for that top trim because I'm going to have it to run the power wire just this side of the mirror. I'll probably have to take the mirror down too. But these old cars, you know, to work on are super simple, super easy. You don't have plastic clips to break or anything, you know, it's all metal and screwed, so it's super easy. So I'm getting an idea here where I want to run that wire through the headliner. And I kind of like the unit like close to the mirror, like right there. Somewhere around in there. So I think I'm going to run the wire out. There's a little mark there, a staple there for the headliner. And I think that's around where I'm going to run that wire through. And I need to bring out about just a couple inches. So I'm just going to put some tape on the windshield where I want it. It'll come out on the right side of that. I don't want to, there. So I'll run the wire on this side of it over here. That'll give me an idea where to poke the wire through. So I'll figure out how much wire I want to get through. And then I'm going to loosely put this molding back on, just hold the wire in place. Then once I get the camera mounted, I can get the... I want to power it up before I mount it, just to see how it shows through the different tint. Like I say, the other cameras didn't really make much of a difference. It's, you know, it'll be a little bluer, but you can still see just fine out of that. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put it. So the sun visor doesn't interfere with it, and where I put the tape to run the wiring through is just perfect. So that is, it's, you know, I don't want the sun visor to block the view of it, nor do I want it to hit it. You know, sometimes the visor's up like that, and I don't want it hitting the camera. So that's why I'm going to put it so it's not in the way of the visor. So I'm running the wiring, and I'm thinking of running the power wiring, and I took this mirror down a little bit, and that mirror goes up in the channel, so I can't run the wiring there. So I'm going to run the power wire, because there's plenty of wire here to run it under the dash or to the fuse panel. So I'm just going to put all the excess wiring behind this kick panel and run it up in this trim with this wire. I just think that'll make a little easier and less chance of damaging any of the wiring. So I'm going to do that too. And then I'm going to power the camera up before I decide the length of the wire to see how it looks with the tint and without the tint. Just to make it easier to keep the wiring in the channel, I just put some masking tape on it. And this has a little apparatus on it here that will not sit in the molding and bolt flush up to here. So that is going to hang out, but I can tuck the wire right up when I need to, or loop this, you know, I'll make it look neat. And then I can tuck the excess that I don't need of this up in there too when I go to put it up. But anyway, you got to kind of slide it over that mirror molding, and then you can screw it up. You kind of get the picture of what I'm doing here, you know, and then I can loop this back up around in there or something. We'll get that so it looks halfway decent, and I think it'll be just fine running the power through this side across to the, you know, I got a lot of extra wire here, so it'll easily reach the fuse box. That's the hardwire kit. The part one that plugs into the cigarette lighter, we're gonna use that just to see how it looks between the two tints before I, you know, permanently screw things together, because I might have to have more lead if I put it down further. This will be fine. I won't need to do anything with that, but that I may need more if I need to put it down, but we'll see here in a minute or two. I don't have it plugged into the rear camera. I just plugged it into the cigarette lighter thing, and just to see, and that looks pretty good. You can see the hood of the car. It really doesn't make that much of a difference, does it? I mean, you can definitely see it's a little darker there, but it's minor. I got to touch something to bring the screen back on. I think it'll be fine over the tint, because once it's there for a moment, it's about the same. It actually brightens up there a little bit. I don't think that'll make a difference, so I'm going to mount it right up there. It's recording what we're doing, by the way. It'll record over it if I don't save it, but I think right there, and I can loop the power lead around, not a problem. When that's up there, it'll look fine. And I'm just leaving it kind of sit there on the mirror for now. And I'm going to go around and put the rest of the trim and the wiring in place. I got the rear camera now just hanging from the plug connector I want to mark on the window. But all the wiring will route perfectly where it is. So I'm going to button up the wiring, then I'm going to clean the glass, and then mount the cameras and power it up. We'll go for a ride and see how they do. I think I'm ready to put the trim all back on. I just kind of taped the wiring so that the screws wouldn't go through. You can clearly see where screw holes are. Let's see, there's one right here, right there. So I just don't want to run screws into the wiring, so I kind of taped it, the little bit excess camera wires there. I ran the power wires already to this part of the dash. They're just sitting here. So yeah, they'll reach the fuse panel. There's plenty of wire there to get it across. So we'll have power, and we'll have fuse power too. I'll show you where I'm gonna. I got a voltmeter under the dash, and that's key on power. So I might just put the key on there, and then the clock fuse has power all the time. I don't know, I'll show you when we get to that. But anyway, I'm going to button the car back up and then clean the glass and mount the cameras, and then we'll hook the power up and, like I say, go for a ride. Got all the trim back on. Looks pretty good. And now I just cleaned up where the sill plate goes, so that's nice and clean. And we'll throw the Body by Fisher sill plate back on, and then we'll put the back together, and almost done. I put a piece of masking tape on what looks like, I'm just going by the center of the trunk lid. That looks like about the center, so that's where I'm going to put the lens. I mean, it's close enough. And I'm going to take the film off the lens first, because I didn't on the front camera, and that made it difficult to take that film off. But I did stick the front one to the windshield, and like I say, all the trim, I got to vacuum the car out yet, but it's all back together. It was nice that the wire that came with the kit was long enough. So anyway, there we go. I'm going to mount that camera. We'll hook up the electricity. Yeah, I would get the longer cable if you have a big, a station wagon or a Suburban or something, a large vehicle. You might need that longer cable. But overall, I think the cable the kit comes with is more than adequate. The rear camera is mounted. Yeah. Get a gander at it. Yeah, that's going to be nice. Really wanted to put a camera system in this car, and I really want one in the truck too. But, that'll be the future. I'm going to hook up the wiring and take you guys for a ride with it. All right, here's the fuse panel, and here's the extra places that you can put things. I think the voltmeter is on the same circuit as the brake alarm light, and I'm just going to put a spade connector and connect them directly into those panels. I'll get my test light and see. I need there's 3 wires here, red, a black, and a yellow. The red goes 12 volts all the time, the black goes to ground, and the yellow goes to key on power. So I'm pretty sure that the one below that green one there is key on. We'll find out with a test light. And then I think that accessory at the top left is 12 volts all the time, and they're all fused off those fuses on the right. So this will be fused, but I'm going to finish running this wiring neatly under the dash, and then we'll connect it up. So I was just checking to see what's what here. That's 12 volts all the time. That's 12 volts all the time. That's got to be keyed there. This is the 12 volts all the time. That's keyed because that's backup lights. That's 12 volts. That's 12 volts. And that's probably keyed too. I'm going to turn the key on and see if that powers. Does not. So let's see what we have. That one was on power all the time. Okay, let's see if that one. The radio just kicked on. Alright, I gotta find a. Those are powered all the time. So that's where the red will go. I need one for the yellow. That's the backup. I know that one's powered key on, see? So I need to find another one key on. I think this one was key on too. Let me see what. Let's see, no, that's 12 volts all the time. So I might have to whoops. Let me turn the key on and see what that one does. Yeah, no. Okay, so we got to find a key on port. We know where we have 12 volts all the time, and I'm going to hook the ground up where that flasher unit snaps in for the 4-way flashers. That's the switch for the Alright, let me get this figured out here. I'll show you when I get it. Alright, I'm gonna solder these crimp connectors. I don't like crimp connectors, so I always solder them. I cut the wire down so it wouldn't already tinned the tip too of the soldering gun. There we go. That's the ground wire. That's all soldered. And I put a piece of shrink tubing up the wire to put on it, just because I can. This is a little magnetic doodaddy thing that I can use when I'm soldering, you know, just stick it to whatever and hold wires under the dash and stuff. So anyway, while I slide the shrink tubing down, there we go, and I'll heat that up with a lighter. There we go. Got a ground wire connector on, and I'm gonna put spade connector on the red to go in that, and then I gotta find an accessory to hook the yellow, which I might put to the, this is key on power and the voltmeter, so I might put it on the back of the voltmeter, which is hooked to that, which is fused. So it'll just save having to, you know, multiple wires in one butt connector. I'll just put an eyelet like this on it, put it on the battery side of the voltmeter there. Alright, I got all I'm hooking the keyed power up to the voltmeter because that's the only really good spot I have to where I can do it without messing anything up. And this wire will go into the one there that's 12 volts all the time, and the camera wiring is done. Well, let's see if it works. We'll turn the key to on, and there we go.
Recording, 2 channels started.
Yep, you can see the garage door and you can see the, oops, turn the radio off. And I'll have to adjust this. I'll adjust that once it's outside. And I can peel this film off. And there we go. We got cameras in the car. All right. And then if I want I don't like leaving the key on, so I'm going to turn the key back off. But we got parking, and it powers off when you turn the key off. I just put a jumper wire on that so I could power it up without turning the key on. This car doesn't have an accessory position on the ignition. So I just wanted to set it up. Tells in the directions here how to set it up on my phone. So this is all stuff on here, and I went through page by page and item by item and set everything to what's recommended for this camera. I got the recording stopped, that's why that's beeping. I just didn't see any point in sitting here recording on the memory card while I just horse around with it. The Wi-Fi is on because I got it connected to my phone, and I got that Bluetooth. Listen, I'm gonna connect this up too. So we'll get everything connected up here, and I might put this polarizing lens on too. Then we'll go for a little ride in the car. And when I say, so these cars, when I say they don't have accessory, you can take the key out. That's locked. The key won't move. But when it's off, you can't take the key out. When it's to run, you can take the key out and you can start the engine, and you can turn the engine off without the key, and then you need the key to continue to work it. So it's supposed to turn back to lock with the key out, and it's not supposed to come out in off, so you can't take the key out with the ignition unlocked. A lot of cars, these lock cylinders are worn out, so the key will pull out when it's in the off position. But anyway, we'll just kind of showing you that's designed so you can take the keys out while the car's going, and that's just the lock position there, so the switch won't move. Because when you take the key out here, so the key's out, you can't take it out in the off position. That's why I designed. But the car can be turned off, but yet you can turn it back on and restart it without the key. So you need the key to get it out of the lock position, basically. That's kind of the way these things work. So anyway, I'm gonna finish horsing around here. I'm gonna put this little lens on because I have it, and I think polarizing even with that tint will work good. And we'll hook this up so you can just push it, and it's like mashing this button. So if I want to save a file so it's not overwritten, you push this and it saves that file it's currently recording, or you can reach up and push that. Either way. But I got this, so we're going to make it so it works. And then, you can put it somewhere where it's just convenient just to touch it. But yeah, I'm just kind of having fun with this stuff right now and playing around. So in your system, I set so it's date and stamps it, and G sensor. So, this is all, even when the car is parked, when it's hardwired like the way I wired it. So when the power's off, that unit will still have power from the battery on the car. And if somebody bumps the car, or, something like that, if somebody in a parking lot or something, it'll record it. And hopefully you can catch the person that did it. It's got the G sensor. Well, you can just kind of look. I hope that shows up everything here. You can change the video resolution. We're just going to leave it where it currently is. Loop recording, you can change it from 1 minute to 10 minutes. I set it at 5. That's the loop that you'll save. the exposure value, or the recording, the audio, which is when it's recording, and you can turn that on and off right there. I want audio on it, so if I'm sitting here talking while I'm driving and I want to play the video from that, you guys can hear what I'm saying. You can change the exposure rates, front and rear camera. That's the rear. Well, that's just an on and off. That's the motion detector there is turned off. That turns it on. That's when I say motion, that's like somebody walking in front of the car. So I don't want the thing kicking on and videoing continuously while it's sitting here in the garage and I'm working in here walking around. So that's why I turned that off. The G sensor is if you get, I think if you get hit or hit somebody, it'll save the files. I set it to a low sensitivity. I think I might set it to a medium. It was on medium originally. The book says, you know, low is good enough. Anyway, I'm just going through the date stamp, so it'll date stamp it, the bit rate, time lapse recording. So if you're just doing like time lapse, it's essentially, you know, your camera on your phone will do time lapse. Time zone, we're GMT4 here, -4 I should say, here in Michigan. Time synchronization, I don't want to synchronize it with my phone. I want it to use it has a GPS in it, so it'll stamp where I am and time stamp, and we'll do it from the GPS. So the speed will be in miles per hour too. That's a boot delay. That I think that's how long it takes to get going. The parking mode delay. Oh, this is so you can have auto event detection. You can have all kinds of different settings. Right now I'm just going to leave that to off. Parking record timer, so you can set it to where it'll record for just there, it'll record for 1 hour when I go to park the car, or 48 hours, whatever you want. It has a lot of neat features. So this is, when I turn the ignition off, it'll go right to parking mode, or you can set it to where it'll take 90 seconds to go into parking mode. So if you're horsing around, opening and closing doors and trunk lids and stuff like that, I assume. The G sensor, which is when it'll sense collision, and that's set at high sensitivity. Parking motion, medium, so when that's on, when that is up here is turned on, that will determine how sensitive it is. Rear camera, mirror, you can mirror it, you can rotate the image, you can, you know, so if you mount the camera a different way, you can still have your video upright on the, you know, if I put the rear camera is like that, but if I put it like that, then yeah, I need to rotate it. So it's just basically sound notifications. I don't like, I think we'll put it on startup sound only. I'm not big on beeps. I can see the lights and know what it's doing. I don't need a bunch of beeping. Voice notification, we'll leave that on. Live video, source. So that kind of GPS, which is on, speed unit, which is in miles per hour, kilometers per hour. I got it in miles per hour. The speed and coordinates will be, those are your options. didn't put the camera model stamp on. That will do that, but you know, I mean, I'll you know what kind of camera it is. I'll show you again in the video. I might put it on for a few videos, but less writing and stuff in the videos when I show you, you know, when I put videos up, the better. I might even well, no, I'll leave the speed and I might turn that on or off as I use the camera. If I'm using it to record for videos for you guys in the summertime cruising Woodward or something, I might turn that feature off. But just so you have a clean video, you know, of cars and stuff. But for now, I'm going to leave it on and, you know, just kind of play with it and the frequency and the format, language English, obviously. Lots of English or lots of languages there. I already formatted the SD card. You can, you know, it just basically gives you all your, you can put your car license numbers in there, which I'm just not going to do for now. And that's it. So that's the app that you get on your phone. I scanned this little doohickey right here, and it took me right to the app. So everything looks good. I think it's basically ready to, I'm going to put this on now. I think I can turn this off. Oh yeah, and it shows the camera views on here so you can kind of see the rear camera. Switch cameras. There. And that's just the front camera. That's just the rear camera. That's the rear camera up here and the front camera. Yeah, the fluorescent tubes are reflecting on the dashboard. That's why it kind of, you don't see the hood and stuff. You know, you see the light fixtures up there. But I think once it's out of the garage or I turn the fluorescent tubes off, that'll be just fine. And then you can have it, you know, like I say, that's just the front camera only there. And you can see, I can see the front fenders and the hood a little bit. So that, I think that camera's aimed pretty good. I might throw the filter on and see how that looks. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that polarizing. I definitely recommend this. This is an accessory. It's called a circular polarizing lens filter. I definitely can see a difference when that's on. It shows less of the dashboard and more of what's out in the garage, even with those, you know, those bright flare. And there's one row right above, right there. So yeah, that's why I should turn that row of lights off. This would probably be a better video, but I just wanted to see how all it looks. And so, and then, you know, you hit your tools and that goes back to where I was. I don't know what that is. Let's hit it and see what it does. I think those are the files that are recorded. Rear camera, front camera. I don't think I've recorded any files other than just, yeah, it's just because I reformatted the card and then I turned the record off because I'm sitting here horsing around. But yeah, that's your video files, front and rear camera. But yeah, that polarizing lens definitely made a difference. So there we go. I'll leave it with the little rear one showing there too. And all right, I think that starts and stops recording too, which would stop that. Let's push it. Yeah, see, now it's recording. And then I can stop the recording by pushing it again. So, and it'll start recording automatically once I start the car because this is going to be powered up. I got, like I say, I got a jumper wire. That's why the brake warning lights flash. I just put a jumper wire to get 12 volts to it so I could horse around with it with the engine off, the key off. You know, I don't want to see her with the key on. It's, like I say, not good for the ignition system. And then I got this, I might just as well figure this out too. So I'm going to get that out and figure that out. Sounds pretty simple. It sounds like you just push and hold this and it'll pair with the camera, and there's a light here that will turn blue apparently when it's paired. So let's see what it does. Okay. So now when I push this, that's essentially going to be like pushing this. And that saves the... There, I just pushed this and it saves that file, so that file won't get overwritten. I'm going to stop. You can see it's counting the recording there. It's got 18 hours and 51 minutes on that memory card. It says it's 10:14:22, which is correct. So there we go. Let me stop the recording. And I might go back and delete those files, which you do in this. So it was format SD card. Okay. There we go. So the card should be clear. And then it started recording again because I formatted it. And like I say, it'll overwrite, but we're going to maybe go for a little ride and see what it does here. I'm going to connect the wiring back up the way it's supposed to be now that everything's exactly working the way it should. And let's go enjoy it. And again, this is a VIOFO A229, and it's I'm so far I'm impressed with it. And like I say, I've had many offers from companies to, you know, to solicit their product or whatever, and a lot of them I research, I don't think they're as good a quality as what they should be. This thing, I did some research and it looked like pretty decent quality. This is blinking because I turned my phone off. That's the Wi-Fi. It's not connected. I could probably just switch that off. It may switch off when I power it off. And this will be steady red when it's recording. That means it's searching for Wi-Fi. So probably if I turn this on and click that, and once it connects up, it will start. That will stop flashing and this will do its thing. And you can see the light is not blinking, and we're connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi part off because this is only, you don't need to use this unless you're like really setting up or you want to view your video files that you have. And I think I'm just going to leave it off unless I want it. There it is, all installed, ready to go. The car's vacuumed out, cleaned up. Everything's in, done. Show you from outside. It actually looks good. You can see the camera there. You might be able to see it there, but you know, the garage lights here kind of, but it's there, and it's dark out now. You know, it's that time of year, but we're gonna go take a ride. Yeah, mostly dark. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening in October here, so I'm gonna go get my coat on, get my driver's license and stuff, and we're gonna go for a lap on Woodward. How does that sound? Yeah, it's a little dark in here without the lights, and I set it to be a 5-minute delay on the boot up. We're neutral once to the floor. And it should boot up now. Alright, I must have done something wrong. I forgot to put the wire back on for plug the wire back in right here. There we go. It's powered off that. Yep, there it is, kicking on. See there we go. On we go. And it's recording. And it's recording my voice. So that's all it needed. Alright, everything's all good. You just touch any of these buttons and the screen comes back on. So anyway, it's all recording and working. We got power to it. Let's go for a drive and see what it does. It does a pretty good job with the night vision of what's out here. Yeah, I'm happy with it. We'll pull a memory card out and put it in the laptop and see what comes of it when we go out and cruise Woodward a little bit. Yeah, it's plenty dark out here, so it'll be interesting to see how that does. The screen only comes on for a little bit, and then you push the buttons and it comes on. Let's see what there, that's what it's seeing. That's what the GoPro's seeing. The GoPros don't video very well in the dark. But anyway, we're up in Bloomfield now, so I'm going to turn around just past Cranbrook and head back home. We'll do a daytime drive tomorrow, and then I'll get this video up for you guys. Yeah, it's kind of dark in here, but yeah, as soon as I turned the engine off, it powered off. So tomorrow, when it's, get some light in here yet. Tomorrow when it's daylight, we'll go out and get some, do a run in the daylight and see how it does with daytime cruising. So I'm learning, so I can power it on by pushing the power button without having the key or any power source on. Just by pushing the power button. So yeah, I didn't need to put a jumper wire on it because I got it hardwired, and then I hooked up, and here is all my video files. So that's all files, locked files, parking files, and I didn't lock any files and I don't have any parking files, but these are all 5-minute files from out cruising. This is a front one. Actually, it's pretty good video, considering you can see the dice reflecting in the windshield, but that's no big deal. It gives you the gist in the daytime. They probably won't reflect, but I'm not, like I say, I'm not too worried about that. If I drive a lot at night, I can always take the card out. But anyway, yeah, we got good video. Let's see, let's get a rear camera view. Looks like I'm stopped at a light there. Can you hear the sound? Turn the sound off. Yeah, I think that's alright. GoPro doesn't video my phone as well. The phone video is actually better than what the GoPro is picking up. But how cool is that? I love it. I can upload the video files to my iMovie real easy too. I just threw them in the card from the camera in the car in my card reader and uploading the files to my iMovie so I can edit them into a movie. Super cool. Another nice feature I like about this camera is you can take it off. Clean the glass. That's the GPS unit still on there. And just put it back on when you're done. So that's a nice feature. It looks like I powered it up by taking it off and putting it back on. So we'll turn it off here in a moment. Yep, there it goes. It's on and recording, and I'm gonna just power it off. Whoops, I think you gotta long hold the power button. There we go. This is the next day. You're going to get another cold start. We're going to take the Bel Air out for another lap on Woodward to try the dash cam out in the daylight. Now, if you notice in the videos at night, the front camera was a little grainier, and I attribute that to the darker shading here. I don't drive this car much at night, so that's not really going to affect anything, and the rear camera actually showed up pretty good. I think if this camera was down so it wasn't in the tinting, in the dark tinting band, the quality of the video would have been just as good as the rear camera. But like I say, I drive this car very little at night. It's mostly I drive it in the summertime and it's daylight until 10, and usually I'm home by 10. So this is mid-October, so it's dark at 6:30. Okay, like I say, you're going to get another cold start once the floor on the accelerator. Make sure it's in neutral. Oh. All right, and then the camera should be powering up here in a moment. There it goes. And the camera is up and running and recording. Still picking up the GPS. When that's blinking, that's the GPS, and once the GPS is up, that will stop blinking. That only takes a moment or two. It takes a little longer when it's in the garage and outside, but like I say, it'll just be a moment. You can see the little GPS thing on the right center of the screen too. And anyway, there we go. Let's go out for a ride. What do you say? Yeah, the front camera is much better in daytime, and I had to turn the heat on, and I have to turn the fan on once we get a little temperature in the engine. It's cold and windy out today. Yeah, definitely fall. By the way, in my ride, somebody in an SUV just rudely cut in front of me and then got over in the right lane to turn right. And I'll put the camera footage up that particular incident. There wasn't a car behind me. He could have merged in behind me. He could have, you know, but no, he had to be that next car ahead. He didn't want to be stuck behind an old car, so he rudely cut in front, braked, and then got in the right lane. And, you know, just being all aggressive so he can get to his destination 2 or 3 seconds quicker. And you just, you know, I just don't like rude, aggressive people. So whenever I get rude drivers like that, I'm going to shame them by putting them on the internet. I would highly recommend it. Like I say, I've been solicited by a lot of companies to, you know, sell their products or try their products and sell them. And I research them, and a lot of them, I just couldn't do that to my viewers, you know, sell them. I don't want to sell my viewers garbage. This is actually really nice. I really like it. I'm super happy with it. I got this to wire it. I would highly recommend, if you're gonna install one, that you hardwire it permanently with this, so you have the parking feature stuff and you don't have to plug it into a cigarette lighter. So definitely, this is an accessory that I would definitely order. This is an accessory if you're long reach, like the pickup truck. You can't reach up by the mirror driving that, so this would be an awesome accessory just to stick to where you can save your video files, you know, so they don't overwrite, so you can shame people you want to. And this polarizing lens filter, I think that's worth it too. You know, you just get a little better video. And like I say, you know, because this is through a dark windshield, it's going to be a little bit different than if it was, you know, in a modern car and a windshield like in the truck. These old cars had a little darker tint and the top was really shaded. So definitely would recommend that. I would recommend all of these. These, when you click on, if you go to Amazon or wherever you go to buy one of these, often these accessories are available on that same link. And like I say, I would recommend those accessories. And then they make that longer cable for the camera. And there's probably, this one runs from there. It's a 4-door sedan, you know, and it runs up and back there. There's probably an extra 1.5 feet of wires. So, you know, I could have probably put it in, you know, something back to about here. Like it would have fit in, you know, the flat top sports sedans, because that glass is up and back further. And that would probably been the maximum reach for the cable. So if you're doing a, you know, a big Suburban or a big vehicle with lots of room between the front and rear camera, you might want to get the longer cable if you're running it down through your sill plate like I did. If you're running it up in the headliner like I could do the truck, the one it comes with is more than adequate. But yeah, I just absolutely recommend this totally and completely. Well, I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that, you know, if a lot of you are thinking of a dash cam, I think they're a great thing. You know, it kind of keeps drivers in check, and you can shame the ones that don't stay in check on the internet. And maybe it'll change people's driving habits if everybody had them. But I definitely recommend this product if you're looking for a camera system for your car, for your new everyday car or your old cruiser like this. You know, I wanted it in my old cruiser because this is what I drive the most, and in the summertime it's almost all what I drive. And I just like to, you know, be able to upload video if I want on my YouTube channel without having to pick a camera up and start recording it. It will record the whole time. If I see something really cool, I can save that file by pushing this button, or the one on the camera, which is the center button. And it's a good deal, you know. And then you guys will get some good driving video without me having to jiggle around the camera and whatnot. So anyway, again, this is going to be the end of the video. If you're looking for a camera, definitely consider the VIOFO A229 dual channel Wi-Fi dash cam. I love it. And definitely get the accessories too. So that wraps up this video. If you like it, definitely hit the like button. It helps, gets the video more views, makes me a little bit more money, get a little more subscribers when it gets more views. That's all good. And if you want to subscribe, that 348 engine icon that pops up there will subscribe you if you click on it. And thank you for watching my video.